All right. All right. Yeah. So I don't know if everybody agrees with that or not, but the $100,000 getting there, I almost kind of relate it to, have you ever felt subpar, like starting from below zero in life? Maybe nobody else does, but I have certainly felt where if I improved, it would be like I'm normal, now I'm average. Like that whole subpar status. And so getting out of that or getting started from wherever you are and then crossing the barrier of making $8,333 a month.
Right.
Now, what I think is interesting about that is I saw an article Forbes or somebody put out just recently about what it takes to be rich in each city. And so I was looking in Kansas City where I live, and it says that to be considered rich living in Kansas City, Missouri, you need an income of $109,000 a year or more. Because
Wow.
that will put you in the nicer neighborhoods and in the nicer grocery stores, and you'll have more income than 97% of the population here. Okay,
Wow.
so you at $109,000.
You made
Okay,
it.
say what?
Is that at $109,000 you made?
Plus a
Yeah,
barbecue smoker where
yeah.
you're not rich there.
Well, I realize that it's totally different in other cities.
Right.
I get it, but at least here in the Midwest, $100,000 is, can we say, life changing, status changing? Like talking about going from subpar to rich. What if your neighbors looked at you like, oh, well, that guy must be rich. He's always out in the front yard, hitting plastic golf balls when I leave for work. And then he's out shooting basketball when I come home from work.
Mhm.
And you're doing it on $110,000 a year. That's rich. Okay, that's mind blowing to me. But what it says to me is that getting to that, having that steady money of $8,333 a month is life changing for most people in the middle section of the country. Now, probably not so much in the West Coast and East Coast, so on and so forth, but for most people. So I think because of that, and I think just because of how we are as humans, getting to that $100,000 mindset is a challenge. I think it maybe requires the most change.
Sure. That's the
You know,
first, yeah, the first glass ceiling is the hardest to break through, kind of thing.
yeah, that's a good statement. So I wanted to kind of start out kick off a series today of Mondays. We'll do a few Mondays talking about a deeper look at the mindset of a six-figure earner wholesaler. Yesterday we had an interview with Student of the Year here in the club. She's a six-figure earner. Incredible. And if you listen to that interview, she tells you about her mindset journey and how it was filled with fear and doubt and like I don't know how I'm going to get through this roadblock. Lots of that's kind of shit going on. But she got there. So one of the most inspirational dudes I know when it comes to talking inspirational stuff, one of the best that I know is Mr. Nicholas Nick from Lead Mining Pros. And so I invited him to come here today to kind of get into it with us a little bit about mindset.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, everybody, why don't you turn your cameras on? I'm feeling all lonely in here without you. You know what I mean? Hey, LaShonda, congratulations on being Student of the Year. Jason, Coach Ed, you guys, yeah, so much. Man, my day just brightened up. I went from like a. Go
Everybody
ahead.
just put their clothes on.
Yeah. I just went from like a 3 to like a 10.5 on a scale of 1 to 10. You guys are beautiful. Okay. And Larry from Illinois down there. Hey, bud. good to see you too. Many your golf. Okay. So before I turn it over here to Nick from Lead Mining Pros, does anybody have anything they need to talk about or share? Any emergency type situations? I always do this just because you are really the most important piece in this entire machine. And if you've got an emergency deal or emergency role play or something that's cooking and you can't get that off your mind, let's handle that. Anybody with anything? It's good to see you. Did you guys see that interview with LaShonda yesterday?
Awesome.
Wow. Did y'all realize that she was that deep? Like we just see her in passing, you know what I mean? Like she's here, she asks a question, but we didn't, maybe we didn't spend any time talking to her, but man, she's deep. She's strong. So if you didn't catch that. But anyway, congratulations, LaShonda. Let me ring the golden cowbell for you again here today.
Yeah.
And, let me put you on the spotlight here, and then show us that bell again, real quick.
Hey, man.
Ring that bell.
Ring it. You got to ring it. LaShonda.
Ring that motherfucker, man.
Woohoo!
You froze up.
Go back to gallery.
Yeah, she's smart. She pulled out her Cat 5 cable out of her computer.
All right. Well, nobody has anything emergency wise or anything pressing they need, then we'll just turn it over to Nicholas Nick here. What's going on, Nicholas Nick? What's happening, man?
Not much, man. Living the good life over here. Or the same life everybody else is. I think, to speak to the mindset thing, you know what I mean? Life sucks for all of us, I think is like one of the best ways to realize it and look at it. And then we have to build from there. I think, the first thing to a bad mindset is thinking you're the only one whose life sucks, right? All of our lives suck. We all have to make money to work. We all have to get along with our relatives, or we don't. We all have to be in meaningful, loving relationships. And that is hard as fuck. To be quite frank. And like, although like I had a guy tell me the other day, man, you're like the happiest person on my Facebook. And I'm like, what? Like, I got so many fucking problems. Like, what are you even talking about? I'm the happiest person on your Facebook. Like, I'm fucking, something small, but, I just took my parents away on a vacation to Laguna Beach, and it was beautiful. It was stunning. I brought my parents and my girl, and it was the first time I sponsored a vacation. And then we come back, and I've been hanging out with my dad a lot. I've recently fixed a relationship. He survived cancer 3 times, and we've always gotten along well. But, when you get older, things just get weird, period. Your parents treat you like you're a kid. I'm fucking making more than both of them combined. Like I'm actually a peer and I need to break through. They need to respect more. I need to communicate better. All this shit's happening, and that's just my parents, So anyways, I've been working on our relationship. So I take us on a trip. I then go out to lunch with my dad. We go shooting. It's a hobby that we do. And then he tells me at lunch that the day before we left for Laguna, he had some numbness all over his body, and he decided to go to the hospital. And they just found out that he's got a lesion growing on his brain. The day before, we go to Laguna Beach. Now, I don't share this to say this is a fucking pity party. I share this to say this is real fucking life. This is fucking what we're dealing with. I mean, every day is life or death. If not for us, for someone that, we love. And that can be hard to really grasp. And, when my dad told me that, I started tearing up, but not because I was sad, but because I was so happy that I just decided to focus on repairing our relationship. For like the first time in my life, I proactively did something before a consequence came. I didn't find out my dad might be dying again and then decide to do something about it. I decided to do something about it. And because I'm so much closer with my father now, he felt that he could share this with me, even though it's very early in development, And so when I say that, like, all of our lives suck, what I mean is we get to choose how we look at it. And if we want to look at it like it sucks, we have every fucking excuse in the world, and we're right, and it does suck. And everyone around us can say, dude, that does suck. Wow, yeah, wow, man, that does suck. Then you start buying into it more. Then you start thinking life sucks. And the truth is, we have enough excuses to already prove that to ourselves. So, we don't even have to go there. What we should be doing all day long is proving to ourselves how beautiful and amazing life is. Since I heard this news from my dad, I feel like it serves me as a dose of reality. Look, Nick, this is why you made your parents a priority. This is exactly why, because that at 66, that this is coming in the next 20 years, most likely. And the best thing I can do is make sure that if we only get 3, that those 3 start like right now. And that time starts right now. So, I'm choosing to look at this as like the best thing that ever happened to me. I could be victimized by this news, or I could be affirmed by it. And that's the way I'm choosing to look at it. And, and so when I reroute back to I'm the happiest person on Facebook, that's the comment my friend made. It's because I'm actually taking all of this shit and I'm fucking building a mountain of gold with it. And I'm actually transmuting it into better information, into more positive aspects.
Using it as your tackling fuel.
Right.
Like in the movie Waterboy, it's your tackling fuel.
Exactly, and that's really everything. So, to go back and speak directly to that first 100,000, I was 32 years old before I ever had more than $5,000 in the bank. And I was a restaurant manager for 13 years, and my peak, it was $65,000 a year to work 70 hours a week. Then after that, I was an executive for 3 years, and my peak there was $70,000 a year. So when you talk about that first 100,000, it's out of reach in a couple of ways, right? Career wise, like my boss is like I've 13 years of hard fucking work, and I'm only at 70 G's. Yeah. Fuck, dude, I got to go an extra 50% if you do that math. Mm-hmm. I got to go an extra 50% before I hit 100 G's. So there's a lot of what we do is we imprint that worth onto our brains. And when I was a restaurant manager, I was worth $65,000.
Right.
I thought I was worth $65,000. So if you were to ask me, I wanted to be worth $100,000. I wanted to be there. I wanted to get there, but I felt like I almost had a price tag hanging around my neck of value, Yeah. And I see how it can be hard for people to start thinking that now all of a sudden they've got 100,000, 200,000. And the most depressing thing about making $100,000 is as soon as you do, you're like, God, this is not any money at all either. Yeah. It kind of hits you. You kind of realize that you're like, oh, this is dope. And then you realize, because when you start making $100,000, you get into bigger circles. And then when you're in the bigger circle, you're like, oh, fuck, I'm like a freshman in high school right now at 100,000. And you feel like you're actually a senior. because you work so hard to get to the 100, but now you're actually just the freshman again.
Totally. Yeah, that's totally true. I feel like too, when you're on the starting block and maybe you feel like you're starting behind everyone else or maybe even with everyone else, but nevertheless, usually I feel like what drives people to do their to break that glass ceiling of the six figures the first time ever in their whole lives, make $100,000 doing something. Okay, they've got a real estate wholesaling plan, or maybe it's another industry, whatever it is. They've got a plan. They want to make 100,000. The driving force for that a lot is the pain and the disgust with where they are and how life is now. At zero. This is so fucking. I will do whatever I need to do to break through into this new level. So there's a lot of, the two drivers, the pain and the pleasure,
Yeah.
and I feel like on this particular adventure of going from 0 to 100 is a lot of pain motivator.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get to the 100, with no reward, really, there's no promise of reward. There's no endorphins in your brain kicking off because you know what it's like to have 100K or do 100K in a year. You've never done it before, so there's no reward system built biologically in your brain. But there's definitely a pain sensation of staying where I'm at. But then after you get to that 100, you develop some of these reward cravings because you've actually accomplished a certain significant thing now.
Sure.
And so now there's that reward motivator. And I think, I'm not trying to put down vision boards and stuff like this. Having your goals and having your plan in front of your eyes, I think, is 100% perfect. But I also think that embracing the darkness is what I like to call it. The embracing the idea that I'm disgusted with life. I'm disgusted with this. I can no longer be happy with myself if I continue to make less than $100,000 a year. I am going to do it. It's
Right.
kind of like that painful disgust.
It's being sick and tired of being sick and tired.
That's a good way of saying it. And that's, I think, the strongest motivator to get to that first 100K. After that, yeah, you want to get a boat, or you want to buy a bigger house, or you want to, that's the reasons why you want to make more money, because you're really getting a taste of it in your mouth. But starting out broke, I don't know anybody that ever started out broke and has anything now that didn't absolutely just 100% hate the way life was. Am I wrong?
Right. Yeah, it's that like you're saying, it's that same fuel. You have to like burn the boats mentally. You have to just decide that, because the other answer is, Dr. Joe Dispenza says, one of his famous quotes is, he teaches mindfulness and how you could be anywhere you want to be. You just have to think about it and work towards it. And someone comes up and she's like, how come I'm not sitting on a beach in Malibu then? And he says, because the personality that's sitting on the beach in Malibu does not look like this. Right. And so I share that to say that we kind of also have to decide to be different at some point whenever we want to go from that employee to 100K or that 0 to 100K. At one point, the disgust or the sick and tired of sick and tired is, I am no longer going to call out when I'm not feeling good. I am no longer going to do half-ass at work. I am no longer going to pass up on opportunities. And whenever we make those decisions, we find out, oh, wait, 100K isn't as hard as I thought it was. okay, or at least let's just call it the 100K mindset. Let's not even say the 100K amount. Because I'll tell you what, I had the 100K mindset all 13 years I was working in the restaurant industry. I was putting out 200K worth of salary, worth of work. And that was one of the biggest disparities. That's one of the reasons I quit. They put a label on me of 65. And I was like, no. Tell you what, if the restaurant industry paid me $150,000 a year to work 70 hours a week, I would probably still be doing it. So it really was almost about the money. It was about the laps. And my delivery, I provided so much value. I knew I was better than the restaurant industry.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but it's December 13th. There's still time to make money before the holidays, but time is running out, and it's like, I feel like there's probably people who are like, well, this is another stressful Christmas, or another stressful holiday season. And I hate this time of year. And, I don't know. I wish they just didn't even have this, all these people need gifts and shit and all these things I got to do, extra money. And, what horrible way to live. Why not just decide right now that this is the last holiday season you're ever going to have like that, and then commit to being the person that makes that kind of money. I remember one time, I don't mean to take this too far, man. I'm sorry.
You're crushing it.
But I remember one time being just totally broke on the balls of my ass, if that makes sense to you guys and gals. And I moved back in with my mom and dad. To me, there's nothing worse in life than moving back in with my mom and dad. Okay? The house rules still apply like as if I was 15. Okay? Moving back in with my mom and dad, not optimal for what I want. Okay.
Right.
But here I am moving back in with them. And a question popped in my mind as I was pacing the floor in their basement. And the question was, who do I have to be to get the things that I want?
Right.
Because I'm getting who I am right now. And it sucks.
Right.
Right? So I need to pinpoint some things about my personality and about my habit and my day-to-day to change, because if I don't, I'm going to continue to get the same results. And right now, those results are living in my mom and dad's basement.
Right.
Shitty. I hated every moment of it. And I was there for probably a couple weeks. But, I think that is a great question. Who do you have to be in order to do the things you want?
Right.
I don't know that it's clear in your mind.
Yeah, I used to say, or I do say, if you had the solutions to your problems, you wouldn't have the problems, right? We sometimes get addicted to like thinking that we've got it. No offense, but in some cases, you wouldn't be in the spot if you had it. And the change also isn't a snap of a finger. Sometimes it's setting boundaries. Sometimes it's communicating clearly. Yeah. For example, you talked about Christmas being stressful. I would say, there's two mindset changes that person has to be in. Number one, it sounds like they need to communicate clearer with their loved ones in their life and go, guys, I'm not giving out gifts anymore. This shit's stressing me the fuck out. And so there are multiple changes that you'll find out that you need to make. It's not always I'm going to work harder, I'm going to do better.
Right.
You can become the best employee and everyone hates working with you because you're such an asshole, because you decided to be the rough and tough employee who's going to steamroll everyone. You're still going to get it all done. You're still going to bring super huge profits to the company. but you're going to be hated by every other person on the team. And then you're still not ready, you know? And so, you know, we attack this thing full circle, you know? We don't just want to start eating higher quality food. We want to start working out too. We don't just want to, you know, Stephen Covey says, when you pick up one side of the stick, you also pick up the other. So whenever we decide that $100,000 a year is our goal, or that's what we're going after, we want to make sure that we are breaking through and we're owning who that is work ethically and emotionally. We have to be that person on both levels.
That's huge. That's huge. I think I heard somebody say that entrepreneurs work on their business, but mostly they work on themselves. It's all about personal growth.
Yeah.
You know, personal, emotional growth. That's a big part of it too, right? I'm
Yeah.
glad you said that, dude.
You know, I had a friend the other day, I was talking to him and he's like, man, I can't believe how self-aware you are. And I remember I said to him, I was like, dude, like I understand that that's a compliment and I respect that. But like, what the fuck else do I have to think about all day long other than my own actions and my own behaviors? I mean, I don't know what everyone else fucking thinks about, but all I do is think about myself, you know, and not in a way that's always super uplifting. Sometimes it's like, okay, this is matter of fact. Like when dad broke that news to me, I didn't say, why me? God, we're being victimized by this thing, you know? I said, okay, great. Like this is what getting older looks like, is what I said to myself. These are the things, whenever you have some pain pop up, it's not always the best to ignore it when you're over 60. I would have ignored, so he had numbness in his fingers and his hand and his other hand, and this hand was okay, and then his face, and then over here. And like, I would have ignored that, you know? And because he took action and he went, at least they found it. Like I said, there's a bunch of ways for us to look at it and perceive these things. And I recently watched, it was an Oprah interview with this amazing spiritual leader. And he talks about a lot of people aren't ready for whatever they may stumble into. They're not actually who they need to be spiritually or emotionally. When I say spiritually, I don't mean your religious affiliations. I mean more like your personal alignment with your goals and who you are, right? And you know, he brought up, he says, this is why you'll hear stories about people who win the lottery and then lose everything, who make millions of dollars boxing or playing football, and then they lose it all. Like, how did they blow $300 million, right? And it's because those are people who are not yet aligned with the outcome. They may have had a great skill, it may have brought them very far, but they weren't ready to keep it.
Yeah,
I thought that was very powerful.
That is powerful. I am a personal testimony to that, because everybody that's heard my story knows that when I was a younger man, I did really, really well in a couple, 2 or 3 different industries. And I just was not I didn't possess the personal character to manage it well or to keep it. And I lost it. And then I went through several years of what I would call poverty.
Yeah, right.
Even a little touch of homelessness here and there.
Sure.
And you know what it taught me is that it's more important for me to be growing than for my bank account to be growing. And if I'm growing, my bank account will grow. If I'm not growing, my bank account may grow, but it's just a stroke of luck, or it's going to pass through. It's going to change. You know, I'm going to waste it. It's going to be stolen from me. You know, I'm going to spend it on exotic things to impress a female. You know, just ignorant things that I don't know if anybody understands where I'm coming from with that, but you know, the change I think has to be personal. If you don't mind, I'd like to ask LaShonda. She's student of the year this year. She talked yesterday about mindset a little bit. She didn't really particularly talk about mindset, but she really demonstrated it. And what is your thoughts on the 6-figure mindset? Is it? I'm of the assumption here that it's the hardest. Okay, I'm of the opinion it's the hardest one to crack, because once you to crack that, you have to change a lot. Can you speak to that for us a little bit, LaShonda?
As far as the mindset,
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I think a lot of it starts with the person itself and how financially structured they are will determine that. Because if you could get the 6-figure income, but if you have the $2 mindset, it's not gonna matter. It's not gonna matter. So me personally, I feel like what you guys are saying, you have to dig within yourself, see where you at, and work on yourself personally before you can dive off into that thought process. Because if you're not structured within yourself and within your mind and within where you're going and your finances and stuff like that, that's not gonna matter. You can make $1 million like what we were just talking about, and you'll sink real quick, because your mind is not even conditioned to think outside the $5 brain that you have.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but I 100% agree with you. I think maybe even some folks need to thank God that they haven't cracked the code and made any real money yet, because they'd be getting divorced. They'd have 3 mistresses and a gambling problem, and they need to change. Right. Oh, and they need to grow personally so that the money becomes a side effect of who they are, rather than I got this great idea and boom, look at me now,
Right. Yeah, they won't be ready. And that's why you find rich people with poor habits, right?
Mm.
Well, they say the rich live poor and the poor live rich, and I find it to be very true. And it all boils down to your upbringing, how how your parents taught you about money and finances and things like that. Some people didn't get that at all, and I didn't come from that type of background, so my journey is probably a little bit different from a lot of other people. Like the household that I grew up in, I lived under structure everything, including finances, at a very, 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 very young age. Like I'm like shit 10. I can't even go outside until my room is clean, the chores are done, and at the end of the week, you got an allowance. I never even hear people talk about allowances and things like that in today's time. I mean, I don't. It probably do exist. I mean, I don't know, but and so as time go on, when you become an adult, you adapt those type of behaviors, and it prepares you for this world out here where when you're dealing with money. So if you're not mentally sound within that space, it's not gonna even matter. Period. That's just my opinion. It's not gonna matter.
I sent you a message. If you haven't checked, I don't know.
Okay. You talking to me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check. Thank you.
In the chat.
Okay.
Personal chat.
Okay. So yeah, I see a lot of people out here that's doing the real estate, and I'm new to the space as far as the financial part of it and all that. Because with me going over to 6 figures, that's the first time I've done that. Other than working, I mean, my job, I don't make 6 figures, so this is a new space for me. However, I feel like I blend right in because I'm very disciplined. Like I didn't take my first check and went and bought a freaking diamond necklace or anything crazy like that. So I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah, sure. It's a good thing. She brings up a great point here that there are some habits that six-figure earners have, and one of those she's suggesting is living below your means.
Gotta live below your
Living,
means.
living below your means, and I promise you that until you learn to live below your means, you will always be broke. I promise that. So like, it's a
Sometimes it's kind of difficult for people to do that because, like, if they're already under before they even got started. Like they come out the gate well up above, their finances is well up over their head. So then if they do turn to that six figure, now it's like they got to play catch up. So the six figures is not even nothing, even though it's more than what they were making before, but now it's still not nothing because they're already in the hole, so to say.
Yeah, I totally agree. Can you guys hear me better now? I don't know what's
I
happening.
can't. I can barely hear you.
You're still low.
I don't know. It must be Zoom or something. That's crazy. Sorry, guys.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. It picked up halfway through. I was wondering, I was like, did someone turn my volume down? You were actually loud in the beginning. And then you got quieter. I think your microphone moved because it wasn't covering that guy before in the background.
Yeah. I just moved it, try to get it closer to my mouth.
Well, that's better.
That's better.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, you guys can see what happened is I rang the golden cowbell right up here by the mic, and it like totally like the noise.
Yeah, because when you done that, it knocked me off. I mean, I don't know what happened. I couldn't even get back on.
That is like Thor's cowbell.
Yeah. I know. That's awesome, man. It's like I blew her clean out of the room with that cowbell.
I thought it was some real freaking cows coming in. Shit.
Stampede.
It's magical. It was blessed by a medicine man or something. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Hey, Nick, give us some practical stuff, can you?
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? We've talked kind of almost in terms of theory a little bit here today, but give us some practical step-by-step things we might be able to implement or look at changing first, because saying grow personally and develop you is one thing, but then doing it is another.
Right. And it really, I hate to say this, but it being out of control almost allows you to be in control. It's only after some days where my diet is really bad that I wake up and run 4 miles the next day or do a 7-mile bike ride, and so I've learned to maybe appreciate the ebbs because they allow me to appreciate the flows. So, I'll tell you guys a couple of, my big changes. The first one was, I remember I was a restaurant manager and I wasn't a restaurant manager. I was an employee and I wanted to be a manager. And I was like, Nick, well, you got to show up. You got to clean up after yourself. You got to be the fastest. You got to be the best. You got to do all the extra work, and I'll never forget. I was actually in college for 2 weeks before I dropped out, and I'm sitting in there and I'm like, this place is not for me. These fucking nerds, I'm not going to fucking sit here with these guys. And, I decided to quit college, but I literally told myself, I'm sitting in that college desk and I'm like, Nick, if you quit this, you got to be the best in the world at whatever it is you do. If you're going to sweep floors, you be the best damn floor sweeper. You're going to make a shitload of money sweeping floors. You want clean toilets? Be the best damn toilet cleaner and you're going to crush it. I literally told this to myself.
Yes.
Verbatim.
I did the same thing, man. That's so freaky. I literally said, I want to be the best damn bartender in this entire county.
Right. And it's like when I quit college, that was me burning the boats. that was me taking it a step further and being like, you know what? I'm going to fucking do this. And I went to work. Now I'm an employee and I was calling it New Nick. So I was calling it. Got to be New Nick. Old Nick ain't going to cut it. New Nick's going to cut it. And I'll never forget, like 2 days into being New Nick, I'm in the walk-in cooler and I'm mopping the floor and the mop bucket falls over. And I'm like,
No.
you got to be kidding me. And I literally go to walk out the door and I'm like, no, New Nick is here. Like, get your ass in there, clean up this mess, and be the new you. So my first piece of advice would be that after you decide you're going to be different, what actual actions are going to represent that difference? And you don't have to come up with them hypothetically, but you create them over the next 2 weeks. You look at an email that you wouldn't have replied to and you fucking reply to it. You look at an opportunity that you wouldn't have said yes to and you say yes to it. And then you start to own the new you. You can't just say I'm being a new me and then act like old me. That's cheating. Okay. You have to really be the new you.
That's great.
So that was, one of the biggest, turn the tables moments I feel like I did. And then I became a restaurant manager. And then I was the best restaurant manager. I had systems that allowed employees to feel respected and fair. And, Justin, considering you were a bartender, having a manager that respected you and had fair policy for everybody was the rarest thing. And even though I was just fair, people literally flocked to me and my leadership because they knew they were going to be taken care of. And you know what? Nothing was fair in the restaurant industry. Okay. Everything sucks.
You were the cool manager.
Right. And, and I was a hard ass. I used to do my job. Here's one thing I did, Justin. I would go around and do my job. And part of my job was reminding them to do their job. Right. And then I would remind them, look, I'm doing my job right now too. My job is to be available to you, to be here, to support you. I was like, I'm doing those things. And I just like to remind people like, hey, I'm asking you to show up and I'm showing up, And instead of like being condescending about it or passive aggressive, they may not have picked up on that. Maybe they're too busy trying to get drunk after work, but I would actually give them examples of, how I would show up for them. And then allow that to motivate them. But, really deciding that, we're going to be different. You'd be surprised how quick the results come when you make that decision.
I 100% agree. I had the same experience. Like I was saying, I made that decision to be a person of excellence with what little I had to work with today, whatever that was. And for me, it was being a bartender, daydreaming about real estate. But I didn't have time for real estate. I didn't have money for real estate. Didn't have none of that anyway. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be the best damn bartender I can be. Because I want to show the universe, God, whatever, that I can be trusted to do whatever it is that I'm purposed here to do with excellence. I just want to be an excellent son of a bitch. That's it. And I want to see if that really gets me somewhere in life. I promise you, you guys have heard this story before. 2 weeks later, and I'm being the best damn bartender I can be during those 2 weeks. This guy walks in, sits at the bar, tips me $1,000 and says, come across the street. I want you to work for me. I'm an investment banker. That was totally the entrance I needed back into real estate, man.
Wow.
It was 2 weeks of being an excellent son of a bitch. Yeah. And I mean, I was clean. I was polished, on time, alert, focused, pleasant, smile, happy. 2 weeks. Man, it makes me wonder if you had that experience, Nicholas, and then I had the same experience in my life, not knowing each other at that point, not knowing each other at all. I wonder if that means that there's sometimes that people just don't have 2 weeks worth of excellence in them. Like, find 2 weeks worth of fucking excellence in you somewhere and see if your
Right.
life's not different. 'Cause
Well,
it's-
and that's probably us shortcutting our journey and realizing that, we were on this path before we were on it, right? And we just made the decision just in time to
oh yeah.
receive it. I remember one of my managers said, Nick, you really make a lot of good decisions. Why do you think so-and-so is making so many bad decisions? It was another manager, a peer of mine. And I said, well, he makes a lot of bad decisions and then it spirals out of control. Another bad decision. No one trusts it. He makes another decision. No one believes in it. No one cares about it. No one trusts it. Even if it was a good decision, it comes out as bad. And I was like, I'm the opposite. I'm making one good decision and one other. And it's just like you were saying, the momentum and affirmation you receive from the universe is quicker than you could imagine.
Oh, yeah.
I used to tell employees, people think being lazy is the easy way out, and being lazy is the hard way out. Working hard actually allows me to be much lazier.
Right.
Because I know the job is done. I know it's done right. I know it's thorough. Now when I'm off, I'm like, but when I'm lazy, I'm like, fuck, are they going to find out? Shit, I swept that under the carpet. Are they going to find it? Oh, I stole the money. Oh, I show up for work late. Like, it ends up being a lot harder. We think we're taking it easy, and it's actually the hard road.
Yeah.
Is the easy road.
I totally agree.
That's
good stuff. Good stuff. Does anybody have any comments or anything right now? Any questions or comments? We've kind of been talking about mindset here today. I know we don't always do this. Just want to hit it here a little bit at the end of the year. First of the year's coming up, and we've got to talk about New Year's resolutions every year. That just seems to be the way of society, talking about New Year's resolutions. And so I thought, let's gear up for this. Yeah. For some people, they've already give up for the rest of the year. They're like, you know what? Fuck this rest of the year. I'm just going to start again fresh next year. Okay. Well, okay. If that's the decision you made, let's get working on you and your brain, and, so that's kind of where I'm coming from with some of this here today. Dave, you had something you were going to say?
I've been trying to message LaShonda to see if she could put her contact information.
There you go. Well, anybody else with a thought on mindset and growing personally and developing personally? He was Nicholas was saying that we need to decide behaviors. Is that right?
Yeah. What behaviors are going to reinforce your decisions? If we aren't out there acting with in tune of what we say, then what are we doing anyways? That's a whole different piece. That could be next week, but that is integrity. I heard something on a podcast the other day that said everyone's trying to figure out who they are, but if you listen to yourself, you're actually telling people who you are all day long. Oh, that sounds just like me. Oh, this is something that I do. Oh, there's something that I do. He says, if you pay attention to yourself, and instead of trying to create who you are, be the person you tell others you are. Just be that consistent. If you tell someone you're on time, always be fucking on time.
Yeah.
And when you're late, apologize for it because you're always on time. Yeah. And if you're going to be a hustler, be a hustler. If you're going to be available, be available, and start there. And then after we do that enough, now we can start creating qualities that we want. But in the beginning, if we aren't doing what we say and we get caught up in that trap, you're going to find yourself at the end of a very long delusional road. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be way harder for you to dig out of it because you're going to be surrounded by so much bullshit. You're not going to know what's up from down and what's left from right. So like that come to Jesus kind of happens of like, okay, first I'm going to own that I'm the only person who's in my way. The other day I made a post, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but my post said, this is not a fucking fairy tale. There is no Prince Charming. There is no Snow White, and there is no rich uncle dying and leaving you everything. Okay? There is you, and you're lucky if you're not in your own way. And I think that we find that a lot. So I think this really starts with owning that you might be the reason on why you're not where you want to be, and then start from there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a mental block. Yes, it's like because I've experienced it where I'm in my own way because it's a mental block. It's a mental thing. So what I have found that works for me is if you want to have I'm going to have $1 million mindset. It's not going to be hundreds of thousands. My goal is to become a millionaire. So in order for me to do that, I have to condition my mind. And in order to do that, I would suggest for anybody to kind of like read books, read content of people who are millionaires, thinking, what's that book called, Justin? Think Rich and whatever it's called. It's a few of them out there. I have them in front of me, but that helps to break the mental blockage in your brain, because you don't even think that far because you ain't never thought that far. So if you want to supersede your thoughts, I feel like if you embark some of the content, embark and read and follow what other millionaires are doing or other six-figure people are doing, that'll kind of help, because it kind of help you break through that mental blockage that you may have.
Yeah, 100%. I think audiobooks is like the fountain of youth for your brain. If going to the gym is good for your body, audiobooks, and guys, I'm going to give you the biggest life hack ever. There's an app on your phone called The Blinkist. It's $99 a year, and you get unlimited 15-minute audiobook summaries. So they take an audiobook and they summarize it in 15 minutes. And it is amazing. Now, I still have an Audible account, and if I love a 15-minute audiobook, you know what I found? I listened to it twice on the app, and then if I love it, I go and I buy the full 7-hour book. And a lot of you may go, well, 15 minutes, that doesn't sound like good enough. Well, the current 6-hour audiobook, you're not even fucking listening to it right now anyways. So it's much easier.
How do you spell it? You said Blink who?
A Blinkist, BLINK IST.
IST. Okay, Blinkist.
You're gonna love it. It is. It's literally changed my life. I went through a depression earlier this year when I got COVID. Then I threw my back out, and like literally, COVID took me down for 3 weeks, and then I slipped a disc. My 1 week after I got better, I was down for 2 more weeks. I was like, God was telling me to sit down and shut the fuck up. Okay. And that's all. I did not leave my house or even talk to people for like 7 weeks. But these books got me out of that. Every topic you could ever imagine, 15 minutes. Think about the timeless. Some mornings I go on kicks. I'll listen to health books all morning, food books all morning. Recently, because my parents are getting older, I've been listening to books about the experience of getting older. If I can't recommend anything to you guys, it's one of the 7 habits of highly effective people, and it's begin with the end in mind. Listening to books that explain what's called elderhood, which is elderly hood, then it will teach you so much about what's going on over the next 20 years, how you can minimize its effect on you. I mean, these books have been so powerful for me. And on top of that, when I'm with my parents, I feel like I can relate to them better. I know what they're going through more. And I can almost even coach my parents now through their elderly experience.
That's
So again, pick a fucking topic, type it into the search bar, and listen to a book. And what happens when a book ends after 15 minutes? Another book just like it pops right up next. And I'll let it go on a tangent for like 3 or 4 books, and then I'll pick a new subject. But highly recommend.
Dude,
It's
I'm
awesome.
so excited. I had no idea that existed, but I'm
Me,
totally gonna get that because I zone out, man.
Yeah.
Like I love reading a real book still. I'm a real paper book kind of guy because the audiobooks, I can listen to an entire audiobook and not catch like a single word. My brain is thinking about 100 million things and this guy's just talking in the background, like I don't know what the, so this Blinkist might be the hot ticket for me.
Well, and that's what I'm sharing with you. Knowing that it's 15 minutes, if you can't pay attention, just pause it. Just now's not a good time.
Yeah.
One thing, my hack is this. I go on bike rides and I go on 30-minute bike rides and I crush 2 audiobooks every bike ride. Now I love the bike ride for several reasons. A, I'm getting cardio, I'm outside, and now I'm like getting brain cardio in there too. So find the time of the day, because when it's you in the road, all you have is that audio book because the bike's whooping your ass so bad or whatever it might be. So, I would look for how to fit it in, and at 15 minutes, you're going to feel like you can commit to it 1,000 times over.
Oh yeah. That's a great tip. Great tip. Pick some behaviors and recap. Pick some behaviors that are the behaviors of the person that's already doing what you want to do, or that's making the kind of money that you want. Imitate that person if you can't come up with something that's your own, like what kind of behavior you should adopt into your life. But you have to parent yourself enough to make this behavior happen. And I think we all can probably pinpoint something in our lives. Hey, this is a behavior that really needs to change if I'm going to be that person. And you know what? Let me just add this too. Don't make it a change for your wife. Don't make it a change for your kids. Okay. Make it a change that happens to you in your office with the door shut.
Yeah.
And then let them continue to live their lives and see, oh, well, daddy's made a change. Hubby's he's changed. Something's different here. Oh, I like this. Ooh, he's more manly now than I've ever seen him. Or whatever the story may be. Or maybe it's even, hey, I'm not into a guy that wants to work a job and then try to do something on the side. I need 100% of his time, so I'm out. Okay, you know what? If that's a behavior change that you need to make and you wanted to do it and that's what resulted, who cares? Okay, the behavior change is all up to you, and it's not don't make it affect these people. Just make it happen for you. Okay, that's to me, that's huge advice, because I have made changes and thought that it affected everyone in my house. And all it did was make them resent me more. Okay, because I am now trying to make them be what I picture that I'm failing at myself. This is ridiculous.
No.
Just be who you need to be. All right. I hope that makes sense and I didn't lose everybody on that. But
no, I think it's powerful, and it sounds like you're speaking as a father. And I think we can all like really relate to that, whether we want to or not. The more we try to control something, the worse it ends up. And there is a big, and this is where things get confusing, right? Because you have to control and let go simultaneously. You have to know what to control and you have to know what to let go of. Yeah. And I think there's a great sentence for it. Stephen Covey, again, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, says with people, you cannot think efficient. You have to think effective. Right? Very often with people, we want to say, you're going to do it and you're going to do it right now. Well, that's like you trying to be efficient, as to where effective is, hey, do you know what you did wrong? Do you know why that is wrong?
Right.
And do you know why we don't want that to happen again. Now that's effective, right? So, and that's kind of, it sounds like, the issue you were kind of speaking to, it's like, we got to make sure that we are handling it right. We can't just control and strong arm. And like I said, you might accidentally become that miserable person to work with who gets amazing results if you don't balance while you grow.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So keep your New Year's resolutions, but convert those to behavior changes. What are some behavior changes for you? Because that's really what's going to make that resolution succeed. That's what's going to make next year different than this year. Is you were different. You did different things. You said things differently. You thought about them differently. You participated in your life differently. So write some of that stuff down, y'all. This is the last of the year. Get out your Trello board. I promise you, my Trello board, you guys know what I'm talking about. Trello. If you're here in my club, you know what I mean. It's got goals for next year on it already. I'm refining them. I'm thinking about them. I'm putting down here now. Here's what the plan would be if I wanted to accomplish that.
What is a Trello board? Where do you have can you hold it up?
Trello.com, Trello. It's a free app. It's just it's a day timer, kind of. It's a lot of things if you want it to be. But yeah, so I've got that written down, and then I've got it converted down into what it would mean for me day to day, like behavior wise. That's how it all works. I've
Right.
reverse engineered my future to a daily activity, day in, day out. And if I do this every day, I'll be different by this time next year. You watch. You watch, and it's true because you see me different this year than I was last year. That shit didn't happen by accident. Okay, I worked really hard on that, but I had a plan all along, and I've changed behaviors. Okay, so you guys do and gals do the same thing. Write down some behaviors. Before I want Nicholas to talk a little bit about lead mining pros. It'd be a sin to not let him do that with all the great
Sure.
stuff he shares with us here today. But before that, has anybody got anything they want to talk about this mindset stuff real quick before we let him talk about lead mining pros and then wrap up? Anything? I don't, I like to open the floor here. I don't want you to, everybody's heart and mind clear.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Hopefully something was said today that'll kind of spur you on a little bit, and those behavior changes, that's the thing, man. And you're never going to arrive too. I'll just say that. Never going to arrive. You're always going to have to change something else until you're dead. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's true. I remember, when I turned 32, I cleaned up all the mistakes I made in my 20s. And that felt natural. I was in my 20s. Well, just 3 months ago, I caught myself cleaning up more mistakes I made recently. And I was like, fuck, I thought I was done making motherfucking mistakes. Why the fuck am I still cleaning shit up? Okay, I'm fucking over it. Like, fuck, dude. Like, it made sense when I was cleaning up 20-year-old dumbass Nick's mistakes. This doesn't make sense. I'm fucking smart. I'm intelligent. I'm caring. I'm compassionate. How could I still be hurting people? How could I still be needing to apologize and being a dickhead to people that I love? How could this still be happening? And, your quote just reminded me of that. And just because I had solved this problem in the past does not mean it's not going to show up in the future. And it takes a lot of focus and a lot of, a lot of fucking elbow grease, a lot of strong arming to get yourself into that point. And, I'm just growing to it.
This kind of ties us back to where we started because, when you get there, you're going to realize that you've only just begun.
Right.
And
Right.
you have so much more learning and growing and changing to do. And it never ends. It never ends. So make it a lifestyle that you're always self-improving, always tweaking those daily habits and those behaviors. Otherwise, you're just going to be like everybody else and just drift. God, I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that. I like a good drift, though. To be honest with you, I do. I like a good drift.
Yeah. There's
You
a
know?
time and a place.
It's nice. It's a nice thing, but it's sometimes I want to go where I want to go. When you're drifting, you go where the fuck it takes you.
Right.
Right? Okay. Tell us about Lead Mining Pros, man.
All right, guys. Well, yeah, I'll give you guys a little breakdown here. I'll pull up my website just to make it as easy as possible on everybody. Lead Mining Pros, we're basically a lead generation company. Most of you probably know me by now. I'll make this short and sweet for that reason. But we are absolutely the top rated lead generation company in America. We have over 350 positive reviews now. Several of them include a closed deal, and we almost have 0 bad reviews. Now, I said almost because I'm going to let you find the one on Google on your own. It was actually a girl I dated. We talked about cleaning up mistakes. Well, this girl I dated on 3 dates went nuclear on me, and she left me a bad review on Google telling everyone how I rob all of my customers and I laugh at them for choosing to hire my company. But Google will not take it down.
What'd you do to her, man?
Yeah, dude, I think she thought I was the one, and somehow, I turned her into Satan,
Oh my God.
But anyway, so that's really our only negative review. So I challenge you guys, take a look at that one. You'll get a good laugh. But anyways, we offer amazing services. If you look up our competitors, like I was saying, you won't even find anyone with probably over 50 reviews, period, let alone the 300 that we have. So I strongly encourage you guys, check us out. Now, we offer amazing services. The 2 that we're most known for is skip tracing at 7 cents per search and cold calling. I offer Americans or Filipinos. I also offer a cold calling course for only $50. You can click this button and get that. Or if you buy any product on the website, the cold calling course is a $25 upsell in the cart. So if you buy anything else, you can add the cold calling course to it. But guys, highly recommend the course, rave reviews. It's really simple. Learn to cold call. It actually will teach you how to create your own cold calling department if that's what you want to do, train your own team, stuff like that. But back to what we're most known for, and that is skip tracing and cold calling. I'll pull up mine. So our number one thing here are these all-inclusive packages where we pull the list, we skip trace it, we cold call it, we text message it, and we do all that within 1 to 4 weeks for you. Okay, so all of these packages can be split up over 1 to 4 weeks. This is no contracts, no commitments, no hidden fees. And I don't advertise this, but I have a no lead guarantee, which means if you use any of these services and you get 0 leads or are completely upset about the result, reach out to me. I'll run an analysis on your campaign. We'll make any changes we need to make. And then worst case, I give you a package the same size or half the size for free. Okay. But that's after I analyze it and after I'm able to take a look at everything. But that is our no lead guarantee that we offer. So if you guys spend money, you get 0 leads, you're going to get another package of the same size. Okay. And there's definitely no competitors that do that. So I offer this. This top is all Americans. The bottom here is all Filipinos. Okay, so I do offer both. So it's up to you. And this is great because it can really fit anyone's budget. You guys see this starts at 160 and this starts at 250. And again, we're list pulling, skip tracing, cold calling, and text messaging. If you were to get, let's say, like batch leads or one of those monthly services, you'd be spending about $200 to $300 a month before anyone even picked up the phone or sent a text message. So definitely something to think about. We do offer cold calling individually by itself if you have your own list or your own phone numbers. And then also our skip tracing is really our biggest hit. I also recently dropped our price of our list and our skip tracing to 9 cents. So, most of my competitors are charging 12 to 20 cents for skip tracing. We charge 9 cents, and that includes the list and the skip tracing. So we're cheaper than them, and we're providing both. So something really cool to think about. We can now also provide tax delinquent leads, which are a really big deal. And I recommend absentees over anything. Absentee list is absolutely the best list for lead generation. So this is how, and then our skip tracing is amazingly accurate. We have proof, of course, because we have a cold calling division that has our accuracy over 80%. So when we call, let's say 100 people and 12 of them answer, 10 of them will be the right person. And that is pretty amazing. So that's one of our things about our skip tracing, and it's incredibly cheap. Our last stop is bulk skip tracing. Our skip tracing gets even cheaper with larger orders. So we offer 5,000 skips. The price goes down to 6 cents. This is basically 14% off. And then 10,000 goes down to 5.5 cents. And that is 20% off. And then the biggest is 30,000 or more. It drops down to 5 cents, which is 28% off our original pricing. So definitely check us out. Put us to the test if you guys have a skip trace list, or if you're going to try cold calling. We're definitely going to be a better start than paying for Mojo Dialer, hiring a virtual assistant, finding someone to skip trace it. You can just hire us, test the list, see if you like it. And then if you do, you can continue working with us, or you can create your own cold calling department then. But I recommend that before you sign up any monthly subscriptions or you hire anyone in your business. Use us to test if you even want to go there at all. Yeah, that's basically everything. Does anyone have any questions about lead mining or anything like that?
That's good stuff, man. How long you been in business now, Nicholas?
I've been in business for, we are going to be completing year 4 in April. So year 5 begins in 4 months.
Yeah. Phenomenal success in 4 years, guys and gals, too. Doing over $1 million
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah,
And
next
so-
year. This year, we're going to break 800,000, which is still huge, considering I have no contracts and no commitments. What that means is anyone who is with me, it's because they want to be, not because I forced them into it 6 months ago and now they're stuck with me. So, we've been so fortunate. I'm hoping to break 1 million next year. So if you guys know anyone else who needs skip tracing, you let me know, okay?
This group does a lot of texting too.
Right.
And I saw you guys have added some SMS packages on there too.
Yeah.
So that's something that folks may consider. I know there's people that have jobs that are super busy and need somebody to help do some of this texting stuff. And you guys do that now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We do everything. We text blast, and my team replies to all of the leads for you. And then we send you the entire transcript once it's done.
I see. Okay. Leadminingpros.com, everybody. Leadminingpros.com. Check that out. And is there any questions or anything for Nicholas Nick? Nothing yet?
Awesome.
No one? Okay. All right. Well, then I guess I need to announce that tonight there's no deal laboratory. Coach Steve had, we normally do creative finance deal laboratory on Monday nights. but he is actually having a family emergency of some kind today. Not sure of the details, everybody. I don't think it's him. It must be a relative, and he's in travel to go see about that, it sounds like. So anyways, say a prayer for Coach Steve, his family, but no Deal Laboratory tonight. All right, so we'll see you guys and gals here again tomorrow. Coach Victor, and we're thinking about doing some interesting things here with the accountability team. So if you guys are, we're always thinking of something here, trying to spice it up, make it more fun being successful. Nicholas, Nick, God bless you, man. Love you so much around here. You're such a great guy. You're the real deal, man, and we love you for it.
So thank you, Justin. Appreciate you having me on anytime, dude. I'd love to come.
All right, man. I'll get you a copy of this if you want it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll chop it up for us.
All right, buddy. That sounds great. All right, everybody. I'll see you later. Is it nothing else before we go? Okay. All right. You guys get something out of this today?
Yep.
A little different. Okay. All right. Love you guys. Stay blessed. Stay happy. Make a behavior change. All right.
Justin.
Figure it out. Write them down. All right. Bye-bye.